This really begins over Chili's This Is Your Life with me thinking Chili was desperately hard up, and I wrote to J. Paul Getty, who, as we all know, was a tremendous film buff, especially of the silence, and said this poor woman has got no money, and it would be lovely if we could do something about this. Well, he promptly sent her a cheque for £5,000. She'd had her autobiography turned down by all the commercial publishers on the grounds that it was felt that her name didn't mean enough. And so she thought she would use Getty's money to self-publish this autobiography, which she did. And lo and behold, This Is Your Life. Thought this was a jolly good wheeze to do for centenary of the cinema year, because Chili was claiming, with slightly dubious authenticity, to be the last of the silent film stars. I don't actually think she was, but that's what she was saying. So they thought, well, we'll do this. We planned what the hit was going to be. She was going to sign copies of her book at Harrods, where she'd been fired as a teenage model for being seduced by a floor walker, or so they said. The misfortune was that on the morning that I did arrive to take her to the hit at Harrods, she'd fallen in the bathroom, she said, and knocked out a tooth right in the very front of her mouth. So when she opened her mouth, it was a little bit like an elderly female Long John Silver. I thought, God, what do we do? There's no time to get her to a dentist. The car was expected in, I think, about half an hour. So I thought of all sorts of things. Could we put bits of wax, chewing gum? No, we decided in the end to tough it out. And I hoped she just wouldn't open her mouth very much, or not wide anyway. Everybody applauded as she entered. And their table had been set up. Mr. Al-Fayed was there at his most obsequious. Ah, Miss Bouchier, welcome back to Harrods. All the books were set out there, and she started signing the books. And while she was busily signing the books, Michael made another of his surreptitious entries by a circuitous route, ended up at her shoulder, and made the surprise, and said, "We have a car waiting to whisk you away to Teddington." And she said, "Ah, my old studio." And so we went. So she went swanning off like a queen to Teddington, to her old studio, where she made actually a lot of films for Warner's First National, some of which sadly are lost, and made her entrance onto the stage and sat down, and the moment she opened her mouth, well, I was terribly aware of the gap in the front. I don't know how aware the viewers were, but there was nothing we could do about it. We got some very big names, which was in a way quite surprising, because dare I say that before Chili self-published this remarkable autobiography, really she'd been in quite a limbo period. Not only did she get This Is Your Life from this publicity and Barrymore, she also got Desert Island Discs. So she was being sort of in the twilight of her career, really getting a lot of publicity. Anyway, they got some very big names interested. Douglas Fairbanks Jr. We brought Patricia Rock over from Switzerland for what proved to be her last public appearance in this country. That was entirely my doing. Peggy Mount was a lovely person and a real trooper, but she was going blind. And as she walked down, she was not coming to where the marks were. And Chili went up, if you notice, and actually took her by the arm and brought her down. And they'd become great friends on tour when Chili understudied her. Avril Angus, who of course she knew from Egypt, from having worked for Ensa in Egypt, another lady who, dare I say, was fond of a drop, and was quite inebriated in the green room before she went on in this, but was always good fun and good value. She was terribly overcome, of course, when they finally brought on her sister, Hilda, from South Africa, and they hadn't seen each other in many, many years. And she was quite overcome by that and was in tears. I think it was a moving occasion for her. She promptly responded to this by getting royally sloshed at the party afterwards. I think she was terribly pleased that so many major, really major names had turned up. I mean, Sian Phillips, Petula Clark did it, and she did a wonderful thing in the programme too, appearing in the turban and the dark glasses, taking the dark glasses off and saying, "Yes, Chili, this is me," and did a wonderful piece. Dorothy Tootin, who was lovely, and she was actually very, very nice to Chili. And most people were, because I think they took the view that no matter what the difficulties had been in her life, she was a rather gallant figure. You know, she'd had a big position at one time, she'd lost it. She'd rather come down in the world in the middle years, but she hadn't let it get her down, and she'd gone on working and earning and fighting, and she never stopped. But this was, I think, really the crowning moment of her career. I don't think she ever thought it would happen, that she would be the subject of This Is Your Life. And for that we've got to thank Mr. J. Paul Getty, Sir J. Paul Getty, I should say, who gave her the £5,000 to publish the book, which gave her this kind of renaissance that she suddenly had.